Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Melissa Wilborn from Vinoshipper, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. We're excited to have our CEO, Stephen Harrison, joined by Terra Albee, Director of Client Success, to walk through some of the biggest updates we've made to the platform over the last 5 months. There's been a lot happening: new tools, lower costs, sharper reporting, and platform improvements designed to better support your business. A quick couple of housekeeping items before we get started. Today's webinar is being recorded and we will send the recording out to all registrants. Throughout the presentation, please feel free to submit your questions using the Q&A box in your Zoom screen. We'll be collecting questions as we go, and we'll have a live Q&A with Stephen at the end of the session. With that, I'll turn it over to Stephen and Tara Jane to get us started.
So this is the first time that we have ever done a mid-year update like this. We did the summit, at the end of last year, and we'll do it again. That went well. But why are we doing this now? Why are we doing this now?
Well, that's a great question, but we thought that we've done so much to the platform over the last, 6 or 12 months that maybe it's just nice to connect in with our clients and partners and just have a conversation about like, hey, what have we introduced?
A
But
lot.
for those that are sort of listening in, I thought, we'd give a little bit of background to start with. Because actually this year is our 20th anniversary, so we've been around a while. And our model hasn't changed. When we started 20 years ago, we wanted to help the clients in this space to be able to manage their direct sales, and those direct sales being direct to consumer or self-distribution or even to distributors, but keeping it all in one place. And so it's been a journey, but we looked at it slightly differently, that we needed to do it from a compliance perspective first, and then everything else would sort of sit on top of compliance first. And so, that's why we do talk about the compliance and e-commerce process going forward. Um, and then ultimately, because of that, then all data is in one place. And so if you have all sales channels and all data, for compliance, it's great because then you've not got any like, hey, missing information because it's all in one place. And clearly for having all your customer stuff in the right place, then you get to do your work and, develop your relationships as you go forward.
We have added a lot of things to our platform in the last year and in the last 6 months, certainly. I know that it can be hard for producers to keep up with all of the things that we're releasing. I feel like even within the company, sometimes it's hard to keep up with all of the things that our dev team releases because they just do so much. One of the big projects that we released in the last couple of years is the POS. It really has changed the way that we talk about the tasting room. So can you talk a little bit about the way that Vinoshipper thinks about the tasting room and how we've developed our POS?
Sure. So yes, the one thing that we didn't have was a point of sale system. So effectively, we were a little late to the party on the POS side. But at the same time, it has allowed us to really have great conversations over the last few years with our clients, finding out exactly what they need. And again, with our emphasis on tying all data into one place, that has been where we've come. And also the size of clients, so we're targeting, clients in the sort of 100 case to the 500,000 case kind of thing. And they all have different needs when it comes to the POS. As a business, we've had a browser-based POS system since we started. And that was great. And it's worked fantastically for our clients for many, many years. But the world moves on, and so we created an app-based POS so that it was fully mobile. So not only the tasting room, or instead of just having a bar, you can have tables around and you can sort of, go to those, but any offsite items. And it's not just about capturing the sale. It's also, hey, can I join the club? Can you do this remotely, et cetera? And so we basically built all of those things in. Um, and the other side of it is we found that many wineries were being forced into using POS systems that were not built for the alcohol beverage space. So they were built for, the coffee shop or the flower shop, etc. And as we all know in the wine industry, there's many other things that are done besides just selling a bottle of wine. The people are coming in, they're doing tastings. You've got to do sample pours. You want to capture the customer details. You want to tag them for like certain types of categories. Selling clubs, as I mentioned. You've got tips, etc., in different ways. So there's a lot of things that are different. And so, working with our client base, we figured out what was really important to them. And so that's what we did. So now we've got obviously the browser based for those that like that environment and that they've got the static PC type thing. And now you've got the app base, which is take anywhere, do anything, anytime. Apple, tap to pay, so you don't need a card reader and all of those sort of things. So there's a lot of work and thought that has gone in. But again, like most other things with Vinoshipper, we're very tightly working with our client base and not trying to tell them how to do their business, but what do they need to do their business in the way that they do it. And so, that's where the POS has gone. And we've done many new things this year. The latest, of course, which we just announced was, we just migrated to iOS 26. So we've got the liquid glass setup from Apple, which was like kind of forced upon the world, but nonetheless is great. And so you've got this great operating system that sits behind it. And the last thing people want is, their POS to go down. At
Yeah.
any point in time. And so you've got this power of iOS 26 behind it, which gives that solid consistency of use and, zero to little downtime ever, and certainly not at weekends and things like that when that's when all those sales take place.
It also looks really beautiful, I have to say.
Yeah.
It's a very,
Yeah.
very pretty app. Talk to me a little bit about how we are approaching the conversation about pricing competitively. We do have a lot of people that are using two different softwares. That obviously can mean that you're paying twice, but it also means your data's in two places. Will you talk about what we're thinking about of trying to get people into a more streamlined business process?
Sure. I mean, that's a great question too, because what people do is they instantly look at like, hey, X platform has this price, and it's like you're going to be more than that platform on a per transaction basis. So we've looked at it, and our pricing is competitive, but what people really have to consider, there is a value proposition in having that all in one place value. So, that POS system is now going to recognize your club members. You're going to get those discounts straight into the system. You're not having to enter orders and pay for one system and then transfer it over to another system if they want it to be shipped out. So I think there's a lot of value add and time savings. And I think time savings is where people, time is not free. And so if you're sort of entering it in one system and then putting it in another, and you're not getting the credit card in one place, and so you don't get the benefits of having the credit card stored and doing later transactions, or even just recognizing club members, I think is one of the biggest problems
Yeah, for sure.
that we heard from people. So I think yeah, will we be the cheapest? We can't be the cheapest. We're not a business that's transacting as a processor multiple billions of dollars. But are we getting all that data for all of those members in one place so that you can know the lifetime value of your customer, the ones that are buying certain things? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's where the value proposition comes out way ahead of separated systems effectively.
Mhm. So once we have a producer that has all of their information coming through the POS, the e-commerce, their club module, what do we do with all of that information? What's like the next step. I mean, we've done a lot of work on building out our COM. We've added notes, we've added tags, we've added customized flags, we've added a ton of things to kind of help us organize the data within Vinoshipper. But then we also now have these integrations that feed out to more complex softwares to be able to segment and retarget your audience through marketing.
Sure. So again, looking for best practice and again, questions from clients and partners as to what they need. So we have done very tight integrations out to Mailchimp and Klaviyo and RedChirp, and all of the data that we're capturing in terms of tags. Is this a VIP? And the relay they have a dog and you want to do something off that, and all of these related items. And so we actually now have the integration. So we push all of that data, all of those tags, the historical records, all into Klaviyo, Mailchimp, and when the relevant pieces into RedChirp. And so our clients can then utilize those tools that they have anyway to do that marketing follow-up, abandoned cart type thing, because we capture all of that data. But that's a specialty business, and to be able to claim that you're sort of the top, marketing platform and do all of that when you're dealing with all of the compliance and the rest of the stuff is just that's not right. So our view is, hey, use best of class in terms of those items. And so we've done the integration. And so all of that history and their segmentation that you can therefore use in Klaviyo, et cetera, or MailChimp to do your mailings is there. I think and we've taken the right approach for that.
Yeah. Um, I want to just dive into like the problem solving that we think about when we're building for club managers. We have had a club feature, obviously, for a long time. We've added a lot of pieces to it this year with customization, with being able to call out like club members' specific needs, which if you run a club, you know that there's a lot of people that have specific things that they need handled. And, we're all pretty high touch in this industry. How are we solving for club managers? I mean, club is really the biggest income driver still. I mean, if you look at a P&L, it's really still about club. What are we doing to make their lives better?
So we've done again, there's a lot of things coming down the pipe that we've done. So looking at that club, getting a lot of feedback. So notes about customers, about those club members. That's a big piece of it. Like what are they looking for, et cetera. And to make that simpler, we have added a tag system, a custom tag system that you can tag those clients as VIPs. You can put multiple tags on customers, et cetera. So you can classify them in certain ways. And that it's you add wherever you add that tag, whether it's on the customer file, whether it's through the POS or through the web-based portion, it just carries through the entire platform. So no matter who's looking at that customer, and then more importantly as well is those tags, as I mentioned, flow through to Klaviyo, Mailchimp, etc. And so you can do that. So that's the one aspect of it is on the customer side. Then the other portion, as everybody knows, the actual sort of running the shipping labels, etc. And as a big emphasis of the Vinoshipper platform, you're now not typing, for labels in another system. We integrate it in the whole shipping portion, or we fully integrate out to, 18 or 20 3PLs at this point in time. So if you're in a fulfillment house like Wine Shipping or Wine Direct, etc., we're already pushing orders directly through to those places. But if you're doing your self-fulfillment and you're utilizing our platform, the shipping is all there for you, the labels are all there for you. But what you can do now, which is one of the latest features, is if people have customized their orders, there's 2 elements to it. One, you can differentiate between the orders that are customized and the standard orders, so you can run those labels in batches separately. So you can do your super efficient, like, hey, everybody's got the same thing, and then you're less efficient, like everybody's juggled them around. But at the same time, if you're doing like, hey, I've got this custom club, and people can update their records what we have found and what our clients have found is those that have customized are done. They've customized the day they got it as opposed to wait 2 weeks. So you can now batch those up and you can actually process those. And so it actually does two things. One is, of course, it gets more cash flow to you sooner. And then secondarily, it spreads out the workload. So you're not doing it all at the end type of thing. And so that's, I mean, those are some of the bigger things that we've done. Is that segmenting out of the actual orders and the shipping labels, etc.
Another feature that, in that same vein, that I was really excited about sharing with producers was the notes. So when you create a note about a customer, you can classify it as a club note, a general note. And if it's a club note, then that gets a flag on the orders in the release order list. And so if
Right.
you are running through, like as a club manager, man, that's a real time saver.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Again, there are, I mean, even I've forgotten about that. I mean, there's so many new pieces that are on
Yeah.
there that our clients can utilize. Um,
I think a lot
but
of people
I,
haven't seen a lot of these new features coming in, or they see it and they're like, "Oh, how? Like, what is this? What do I do?" And so I think it's worth calling out some of these things that to us maybe seem minor, but are going to make a huge difference in the lives of the people using the software.
yeah. And again, this sort of partner relationship with our client base is they send in questions, they send in suggestions. Again, our dev team is building the infrastructure, but they are very much focused on like, how does this help our clients
Mm.
make their either save time or just make their life generally easier to go through this process. And so it's a big thing.
It feels exciting when I get to write to a producer and say, "Hey, this thing that you asked for, we built it." It feels so
Yeah,
great to be able to really show that we are building for our peers, our friends, you know? This is an
yeah,
important piece
yeah.
of it.
I
Yeah,
feel they have a ownership in the whole thing in terms of like
totally.
because of those suggestions.
Yeah. So a project that you yourself have been very excited about that I have been hearing you talk about wanting to do for a very long time that we have now built out or are building out is the wholesale component. So this is like a project that I know that we've had a lot of people ask for, but also I know has gotten you very excited about building. Will you talk about the evolution of our wholesale component?
Sure. Yeah, it is. This has been a many, many years that I've been waiting for us to build upon this. We've touched there. I mean, there's two elements again. The wholesale is interested, and that's, wholesale as we describe it is, the wholesale is the retail and the restaurant. Especially for those that can do self-distribution. Then the second piece is obviously distributor sales. So, there's two elements. One is you want to keep, again, all your data in one place. The value of that data is tremendous. And then the second other one is like inventory management. You want to know exactly what inventory. You don't want inventory kept in multiple different places. If you can keep it in one place and know what it is, then everybody on the system knows that piece. Um, I personally, what I really wanted to see was this go onto our mobile POS system so that, the winery owner or their rep, etc., can be out in the field. They can go into that restaurant. They can take the order directly there on the phone, invoice it out. It can go back either to their 3PL or directly to their actual winery, and they can facilitate those deliveries. And that works now, and you can segment out the different groupings so you know where for the reporting side, you can know where it's going. But you can set up your discounts specifically for them. So there's a lot of, yeah, the trade aspect for the wineries. There's no reason why it shouldn't be under the same, sales infrastructure. So you can do all of these in one place. And the ability just to take those orders, like right there, right then, get them approved, hit it. It will send out the invoice to the location at the same time, and go down that back office aspect of it of keeping all data in one place. I just think it's
Mhm.
just super helpful.
Yeah. And along with building that feature, which is I want to say just kind of in the beginning of the plans that we have for what it'll look like in a year or so. We also have had to address reports, right? So, I mean, if you're doing a new kind of sales, you have to do new reports. But we have not just been doing new wholesale reports. We've got a slew of new reports that we've released in the last year. So, thinking about where we're coming up with these reports and how we're presenting the information has been a big topic on our side of how to do this. How are we moving forward thinking about reporting?
So reporting is an overwhelming thing, and everybody wants it cut and diced in different ways. So we've sort of looked at it again from client responses, and we're in the process. We've got a lot of great daily reports, and in fact, now we've got the situation where you can actually get a daily report of what happened the day before, broken out in many different ways as what sales did you do, where did they go, how many club members joined, etc. So we have that. Then you go online as well, and we have, a business detail report that that's sitting up there in the report section. Gives you an overview of whatever period you're looking at of like what sales did you do. You can break out, how was it paid by the payment type, so whether it was cash, credit card, ACH, etc. By customer type, and of course, becoming much more important, club member, just a general member, and then into the trade aspects of it. Sales by team members, sales by product and product type, and then tasting details, because you want to know what the sort of the tasting process is costing you, or whether you're comping more than you're actually selling. And so we have all of that. And then we have, and maybe I'm not supposed to be talking about things that are coming, but then we have something coming, which is a new set of reports that will be out shortly, which will have things in much more detail, and things like heat maps to tell you like when are the most sales, what days, what times, etc., over certain periods of time, which everybody can suddenly figure out, like, oh, I understand my sort of hiring place of when I do most of my sales, etc. So, and then the other thing that we did add in, of course, recently, is the ability to add cost of goods into those products. And so anybody who's really following this now can, like, hey, I did this sale and I offered, 30% discount and flat rate shipping. If they build the cogs into that product, now they can see, how did they do on that particular campaign, etc. And so that the cogs detail is I think is super impressive. Again, a client request type thing that came in, and now, people are starting to use it. So again, there's just so many things flowing out over the last few months that, but the cog side is very important to that reporting. So
Mhm.
there's a lot there, and there's a lot more coming. And I think it's pretty exciting overall.
Mhm. We have several integrations that we do now, and I know we touched lightly on the marketing stuff, but I want to talk about the 3PLs that we've started to partner with. So, one side of integrations that we work on is, marketing and information flowing out to be able to reach your customers in a different way. This is data about your orders going out to a warehouse so that they can get your packaged goods to your customers. Why did we decide to do that?
So I think, when we look at people that are on these systems, that we sort of break it out as sort of three different pieces. There's the front end piece, which is the sort of the order taking portion. There's the compliance piece that we will always talk about. And then ultimately, you can do all this electronically, but ultimately, package has to get from A to B. And, depending on the size of the organization, there's some great 3PLs out there that support that. And so what we've done is we've made a concentrated effort over the last, I'd say last 12 months to integrate into all of those major 3PLs. The advantage that that gives you, of course, is now you've got full traceability from the purchase point all the way through the system. It goes out to the 3PL They do the jobs that they do on their rate sheets and pick pack services, etc. And then we just pull back the tracking information that then can be pulled back into the system. And then you've got this sort of closed loop system and nobody's having to manually do anything. And because it's what the 3PLs like with the integrations from us is we've normalized all the data. And so they're not having to go back out and say, well, what do you mean by this? And so information is all correct before it gets to the 3PL. And so, yes, we have done, and we're at 15 plus 3PLs now around the country that we integrate into. So it's a key piece of it.
Another channel of our integrations, which I guess is really three directions, but so we have a 3PLs and then we have the marketing pieces that you've touched a little bit on, like Klaviyo, Mailchimp, RedChirp, but we do have several others. I also want to point out that you talk a lot about that we are not telling people how to do their business. We're giving them the tools to do their business, and then they can make the choices they want. And I think that all of these integrations, all three channels of our integrations really support that as like a thesis that you share with us as a company quite a bit, that we're here to support people to make the choices they want to make, right?
Sure.
So will you talk about some of the other integrations that we have in terms of like the marketing stuff that we have, the loyalty and Shogo, and why we've
Yeah. So
decided to partner with those people?
yeah, there again, a lot of like best practices that we've tried to look at, things that they are add-ons to the main sales piece. So, we've obviously integrated with SIP metrics that can pull your data out and go even deeper on the data that you're doing and manage and manipulate that through various formats and including AI to look at that. We've got Block 55, which was for events and reservations. Great
Mhm.
little plugin. What's
Mhm.
nice about that plugin, unlike some other of the same type of category, is the actual booking, etc., is reported and kept within the Vinoshipper platform.
Mhm.
So you can look back on that customer history and you've got the data that they booked a reservation, they came in, and then you've got all the transaction data. So I think a lot of those items in that respect. And then a newer version for us right now is this sort of loyalty program side. And so we did an integration with Loyalty Match, which has been great for the clients that are using it now. And so you're now capturing and building incentives based upon volume or whatever you choose. And so those are some of the other ones. And then again, our specialty is that sort of small to medium sized winery and vast majority of them still run on, QuickBooks and then the next stage up is NetSuite. And so we worked with Shogo to do an integration. And so Shogo normalizes all the financial data, and then that can sync directly into QuickBooks or NetSuite, or actually because it's normalized, if you've got a different accounting system, it's probably on the Shogo system, and so because the data's all normalized, it can pull out to those as well. So again, it's trying to close that whole loop of like, hey, this is not a shopping cart application, or this is not a shipping application. This is like
Mhm.
a full system where the key is like you've got all your sales data and you can push it to accounting, you can push it to marketing, you can push it to your fulfillment house, you can do all of those things, and it's all being recorded and tracked with notes, as you pointed out earlier as well.
Mhm. The third piece of our integrations that we've really built out a lot in the last year or so is working with other platforms. So I've gotten this question a lot where people say like, aren't these people your competitors? So we have integrations with Commerce 7, with OrderPort, with Activate, with Shopify. There's others in the works. They are our competitors, but we are in this really unique landscape right now where we do have a component of our software that they don't have. And so we've also been able to work as a partner with all of these companies, which is really exciting. If somebody does choose to partner with those softwares, they can still work with Vinoshipper. Talk about how you approach that as like a partner and competitor landscape.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, right?
Yeah.
But we've built our business based upon compliance first. So compliance, tax, age verification, all of the high bars that have been put out there, quantity limits, etc. And so that's the core of our business. And it's really hard to say like, hey, our application is perfect for 100% of the clients out there. Depending on how that client runs and operates, Com7 may be the perfect fit. OrderPort may be the perfect fit. But at the end of the day, all of these clients really want to take care of their compliance and their taxes underneath. It's not their driver because their driver is sales. And so, so that's why we've done the integrations. And so now there's APIs that you can, put into each of those relevant platforms and do everything that you do. I mean, that's the lovely thing is you just because if you want to use our compliance and our compliance services, you don't have to change your world. You stay on Com7, you stay on OrderPort, you stay on Activate, but the transactions can come across into the Vinoshipper platform, get all their checks and balances done, verified, etc and then even get pushed directly out to your existing 3PL. So you don't even have to change that portion. And we can
Mhm.
do all of that in the middle and then push it all back in. And so, again, for that same consistency we talk about, all data in one place, you now can keep it all within whichever operating platform you're doing. And I think it's an exciting thing for the industry, honestly. I mean, it's like, people have needed an alternative way of doing compliance. And
Absolutely.
Vinoshipper has built that out in a very, very robust manner. Little things like now we've become a marketplace facilitator for sales tax in 40 states. And so, we're making the reporting of sales tax much more simple. We do CRV reporting for 1,000 producers because it comes through our system and we can make one payment to the state as opposed to everybody doing their own thing. And so there's many aspects of what integrating in other platforms does for us and our clients. The client becomes happy because it's all there, but they can stay with their familiar as well as doing what they want to do and making sure it fits. And Vinoshipper has all of those same tools as those other guys. And at the same time, like I say, different people, different flavors. So I think we should support the whole industry.
Yeah, absolutely. That opening up into these other platforms has also spurred us to create our compliance management services department, which has also
Yeah.
grown quite a bit in the last year. Um, yeah, just kind of talk me through like how we started our compliance management services. I know it kind of came out of realizing we're already doing this for ourselves. Might as well do it for somebody else. Talk me through the process of the creation of the department and then how it's grown over the last year.
Sure. I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, the transactions are all going through our platform, and people are taking that data and sending it off to a third party to do their monthly reporting, etc. And we realized it's like, well, we've got all the data. Why don't we ask our clients if they want us to do the reporting on their behalf, So if you've got, 25 states where you've got licenses and the transactions, whether it's coming through a third party website or whether it's coming natively through Vinoshipper, it's still coming and getting stored. And so therefore we can actually do their reporting for them. And so now we created the compliance management services group, which allows us to very efficiently and competitively, I think is the way to do it, because we've got the data in the first place, is to actually, not only do their reporting for them and file their reports, whether it's monthly, quarterly, annually, and whether it's excise tax or sales tax or both, of course, depending on the state, we can actually monitor their actual DTC licenses. And so now we can actually do the renewals of them. We can study volumes for them and say like, hey, it's well worth you getting your own DTC license for X state. And so we can actually, obtain those licenses for them and build out that. So yes, we now have a fully robust, because we were doing it for ourselves anyway. um, robust, compliance management services. So we can take all of those orders and all of those DTC transactions and do the whole service. So again, a client-driven situation, we are now for multiple clients running from that purchase all the way through to delivery and then doing all of their compliance work on the back end. And the beauty of it is because all data is in one place, the actual client benefits from their marketing perspective because it's all in one place, so they can pull and do and segment as they want. And secondarily, for us, it's all compliance data, and so we can do all their reporting. So it's kind of a win-win in that respect. And you can be on Com7 or you could be on OrderPort, etc. If those transactions, we can do the compliance checks, store the data, and still do your reporting for them. So again, you don't have to, what I call, come to Vinoshipper and come off a platform that you're very familiar with and you've done all that training, but we can do the compliance portion for you, and it's fast and accurate too.
Hmm. Hmm. Stephen, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk me through all of these core pieces of our software, our platform, our history, our identity, our growth. I think it's really exciting. I know we have some other big announcements to make right now, and I'm excited for you to be able to share those. And then I think we'll open to questions.
Yeah, well, hi everybody. I'm a bit gruff. I had a bit of a cold, so bear with me on that one. But yeah, so thanks for listening in. We do have some new items that have come out since we sort of went through this, and also some new items coming up. So we mentioned the tags earlier. So we actually now have discounts by tags, which is very exciting. So based on whatever tags you've got, you can now set up custom discounts or features for those based on those tags. So that's out. That's there now. And then at the beginning of this week, we did an enhancement to our POS, mobile POS. And so now you can actually split those tabs by item. One of the great examples I kind of use is you can have a table, you can have multiple people there, they can be doing tastings, etc. They can add items to their tab as they go through their time with you. And then when you get to the end, you can actually now split that either by person or, of course, by transaction. So you can sort of settle up with them for all of those things that now they did on tastings and things they did on site, but then they want certain bottles shipped out for them at the end. And so you can split that tab off and go do those things. So those are a couple of new items that are actually out now. Other exciting things, as we talked, we've been around a long time. And of course, when we very first started out, there was just 750 ml bottles and 375s really in our world. And so as many of you will know these days, what we call swag type items, be t-shirts, hats, etc. Those have become a big piece. And we haven't had a proper grouping system. And so very shortly, we'll be rolling out a new grouping system. So if you've got hats or t-shirts, you can get these created by size and color, etc., which will help in the whole shopping cart process. But there's also some exciting, innovative ways you can use it because of the way it's been designed. So should you be sort of wanting to offer some kind of special either to club members or anybody really, like, hey, if you buy these 6 bottles of wine, you can choose from one of these 5 items. And so you can set up a sort of a grouping of these 5 items and have it such that, the buyer can actually go pick those items. So that's coming out. We're expanding out our inventory management side so we can actually look at where your inventory is kept. Is it in the tasting room? Is it in the warehouse? Is it in long-term storage? So we can actually look after as such within the system. So you will always know whether you can take the sale or not. The wine may not be in exactly the right location for you at that moment, but it gives you the opportunity to take the actual order. Gosh, and then on the reports, we have new report dashboards coming along. So we were talking about the reports earlier. So we have an expanded portion of that coming out. And then we did touch on the trade sale aspect. So doing um, wholesale orders and being able to invoice those off, and also the distributor orders. So we have these pieces coming along. And again, we don't like to throw things out there that are coming too far out, but these are very close and in testing and the closer development side. So those are items that are coming out. So I mean, at the end of the day, that's much of what's going on. I do want to just take one moment at the end here, if I can, which is just to talk about, a couple things in the industry. Um, where the industry's at, and sort of the rhetoric against wines and spirits and just drinks in general. There's a couple of really cool movements that are going on, which you should all take note of and start to talk about these and talk them up, etc. There's obviously, it's an October thing, but there's come over in October where you're encouraging, your customers to invite their friends over. And that's a once a year thing, and it's to for that month of October. The one I really love much better, which is the share and pair Sundays, because that's every once a week. And so, the idea is, encourage your customers for the sort of like, hey, buy the wine and then invite your friends over and share and pair with food on a Sunday kind of thing. So it's a social thing. And so those items are really cool. And then just planting the seed that it's actually okay to have a glass of wine on your own for those people that are on their own. I've just been at a conference. Actually, I'm in New York right now. So beautiful New York. It's lovely weather here, so that's very cool. But there's the sort of the socialization, and you can't claim health benefits, etc., which is completely true with any of these products. But the social aspect of it, socialization is a very good item. And having a glass of wine, etc., is a nice way to break down barriers and have a glass of wine with somebody. So it's more of a socialization aspect of it. So I sort of do say to everybody, like, hey, we've got all of these tools and all of those things, but don't forget there is that customer and the client. Start planting the seeds. Like, this is an okay thing. It's a social thing. We don't have to sit and do Zoom calls all the time. We can do it over a glass of wine and have a conversation or a bite to eat. So those are really the big things. I mean, there's a lot going on in the industry right now, but we keep listening. I know there's been some suggestions popping up uh, the chat channel here about other things. We do take everything in. We get it logged. We put it on the roadmap. Some things get turned very quickly. Some things take a little bit longer. Like my desire to get into the trade aspect and do that has been years on the waiting list. But we've now got the tool with the mobile POS that makes it even more powerful for people out in the field to be able to take those orders. So obviously I want to thank the team here and for helping us get through all of this, and clearly thank our clients for being our clients. I mean, I just want to share, so the Vinoshipper.com URL was actually registered 20 years ago yesterday. So our official Vinoshipper.com is 20 years old as of yesterday. So we've been here for a while, and we're going to be here a lot longer. So again, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all turning up. And just anybody else got any other items from the team?
Yeah, we
Thanks,
have a
Stephen.
couple of questions. Thank you, Stephen. The question we get very frequently is, are there any plans to add a subscription-based club model?
So the answer is yes, and it's a resounding yes. So we are working through that at this time. There's varying models that have been discussed. We don't necessarily like to go rushing in because some of them just aren't applicable for these days for this type of product. But the answer is yes, and it is quite close to the top of the roadmap items to be looked at next.
Okay. Um, Another one that I know we've talked about as a team, a new checkout experience. Um, Things like post-purchase offers and things like that.
Yes, you know, our business, of course, is compliance, and so you know, if you've just got a simple shopping cart and it doesn't really have real-time compliance and all the rest of it, it's really easy to pop out a new checkout process. But I'm just hesitating because I hate to commit timeframes, but the goal is to actually have a complete new checkout experience by the end of this year, which will take account of many of the items. I'm sure our CTO is now shaking his head like, oh, that's a time frame. But our goal really is to get something pushed out through that time period. But it's also the reason why we've also integrated and done some real integration into the Shopify worlds as well. So those people that want to move into that experience of Shopify, we can do everything that we do, but they can get the benefits of the Shopify front end for when they want to do certain things too. So a
Yeah.
long way of saying it's coming. Can't say exactly when, but by the end of this year should be a target.
Yeah. On a
I
Tuesday
think
at
you
some
just made
point.
yourself a target by saying that.
That's right. That's right.
Um, can you briefly just touch on the wholesale transaction fees? We talked about wholesale transactions, but we didn't talk about how our fee structure is for that.
Sure. So we've looked at this, and again, it's all a matter of getting data into one place. And so we've tried to keep it as simple as we can. And so you know, wholesale orders again being those to retailers, restaurants, and of course distributors. And so the way we've priced that right now is it's 1.25% of the sales transaction with a cap at $10. So, you know, if you sell a $30,000 distributor order and you push it through the system and you're keeping all that data, it's a $10 fee. And so that's really how we've just tried to keep it very straightforward.
Yeah.
I think, oh, actually, I think it's 1.25% plus 5 cents up to a maximum of $10 still. So either way, it maxes out at $10.
Yeah. Thank you. Just quickly looking through here. We had a lot of great feature request ideas, which again, we take very seriously. Um, I don't know that there's that many other questions that we haven't. Oh, here we go. On the wholesale side, does that include any of the required reporting and licensing?
Does that
I'm not entirely sure what he means. Maybe Adrian will.
That's coming from a California producer, just as a heads up, Stephen.
All right. So I may maybe we have to answer that one separately, but it's if it's coming through the system and it's subject to the reporting, um, we're not involved in the transaction per se, but we can record it and the data is all available through our reporting to pull down. If somebody's looking for us to do their in-state reporting, that's a separate conversation as opposed to DTC reporting. So it depends whether all the orders and all the data is coming through our system. If it all is coming through our system, then we can deal with those in-state reports as well.
Okay. Um, yeah, lots of questions now about wholesale reporting. So I'm not sure. Will the wholesale also have the ability for production type reporting?
So we haven't gone back into the production side at this time. There's a few sort of best of class, I would say, applications that do what I call grape to bottle. And so we're looking at those. There's a couple that we will start to look at an integration with. So if somebody's with that side, so it's again an integration API, I think, because it's a different business, but you need it all to tie in.
Yeah. Um, Let's see. I don't see any other ones currently.
I mean, around the wholesale piece, it is fairly fresh. This is really the first time we've talked about it. Clients have we probably put it out about 2, 3 months ago. The first elements of it, identifying clients as a particular type, whether it's a restaurant, a retailer, etc. And we have clients that are utilizing that right now, and from that, we're getting the feedback and coming out from there. And so we'll start to have an FAQ section up on the wholesale and trade side, and then
One of the
ultimately. Oh, go
One
ahead.
of the
Sorry.
first, I was just going to say, one of the first ways that we've seen it be successful for people is in states where it's legal for producers to sell direct to trade. And so that selling direct to trade, if you are out in market and taking orders, the ability to do that in places where it's legal to do so is a huge addition for how you can use our software, I think.
Yeah, I think, and I think the combination of being able to run a trade transaction, really the only difference between a trade transaction and a consumer one, well, there's two main ones. One is usually the volume because it's more in cases than it is in
Mm.
bottles. And then the other one is how it's taxed with sales tax or not. But if you take the ability to identify customers as trade customers and then also use the custom tag situation, you can actually now start to create a discount by tag, by wholesale account. And so it gives you a lot of flexibility, especially in what I call some of the bigger states where you're still having to ship the product to that retail account by
Mhm.
UPS, etc. You can actually, you know, do that whole thing, and your clients can basically come through the website still, make a purchase, it recognizes them at wholesale, and they can check out, and just makes it a really smooth process for them.
Yeah. I'm so curious to see how it'll look in a year. Like, I know we have so many things to add around the wholesale feature, so it's exciting. And one of the things that I always find really interesting as we release things is seeing how producers use the tools that we build, because sometimes people use them in ways that we were like, oh, we didn't even think of that. And then they're using them in some amazing way that then we want to share on with more producers. So it's cool to get people's feedback also of how they start to use our tools.
Absolutely. Yep. And we build upon it. So, and I think that's been the story of our
Yeah.
life for the
Yeah.
last 20 years too.
Yeah. I see a question in here about updating credit cards. We did just release, Aaron Butler, you'll be very happy to hear this. We did just release the ability to send an email or a text requesting a credit card update. And so I believe that it is in the customer profile. If you click on, click on credit card? We just released it this week, which is
Yeah.
very exciting.
Yeah. So you click next to the credit card that they have currently on file, and then you can, by using the ellipses, you can send them a direct link from there, either as an email or a text message, and they can securely add their credit card information. I'd be happy to email you after this, Erin, with some screenshots of how to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, and,
that's
and I mean everybody
a good one.
should sort of. Sometimes it's forgotten, but we do run credit card update services every day, and so if somebody's credit card is expiring or has expired, and they haven't changed their card, but there's a new expiration date given, and those card companies are sort of notifying the system about that. We are updating. We probably update 500 to 1,000 cards every day. And so we actually have that process going. So I know many applications charge for the credit card update service. We don't. It's just part of our background. And so sometimes forgotten, but we are updating credit cards that become available every day.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll send an email to you, Erin and Jessica, detailing that. Because if there is no credit card on file as well, you can also use that link the same way to capture their credit card from from the place of not having one. Um, we have another question about if I switch from another platform to Vinoshipper, what is the cost to transfer? Sorry, it moved on me to transfer customer info and COF information.
So I mean, we do this all the time, and so that we do not have a cost of, well, we don't have a setup cost period, but a data transfer, we do not have a data transfer cost either. The only thing that people can bump into is if their existing processor is going to charge them a fee for moving their cards. But Vinoshipper itself has no cost too. We can bring in historical data, we can move products across, and all of that, but we do not charge for that.
Yeah. And if your current credit card processor does want to charge you to transfer, we can teach you how to capture the credit cards without having to do that if that's what you'd like to do.
Yeah.
Um, we have another question. One challenge I have is customers who customize their shipments but don't click the save button because it's below the fold. With Amazon, you don't need to save changes. They've been conditioned. Perhaps a pop-up if they try to close the screen without saving changes would be possible. Okay.
That's
That's more
a
of a feature request, but a good one.
we will roll that through and let the guys know because I mean what is stated there is yes, we can see
Yeah.
an advantage of doing that for sure.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Perfect. Okay. I think that's most of them. Unless anyone's got a good curveball one they want to send.
Boy, we love a curveball around here.
This is very
Well,
fun, by the way. I'm really happy we did this.
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, by all means, if you're out there and you have questions and you think of questions afterwards, do write them in. We do run our customer service, 7 days a week. And so just write on in, let us know, and we'll get back to you. There's a lot of things coming, a lot of exciting portions, and I do have to also thank our partners. So, the folks at Com7 and OrderPort, Activate, et cetera, and all the fulfillment houses and the RedChirp, et cetera. I could go through all of these. They've all been great to work with, but the goal is for us all in the industry is to get that bottle of wine out to that customer. So ultimately, that's the goal. So whichever pathway it goes through, yes, we have to do it compliantly and we have to do the taxes on it. And that's what our underlying platform is, like our famous Lego image at the beginning. It's been with us for many, many years. But the compliance is the belief of where it all needs to be. So again, thanks everybody. Really appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll do this a little bit more frequently.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. We hope you have a
Thanks,
wonderful
everybody.
day. And if you need anything, please email us at customerservice@vinoshipper.com. We're always here to help you.